Hello, and
Hi.
welcome to day 2 of Community Week, a week full of community insights, live streams, live coding, special blog posts from our MVPs, and so on. And in this special stream, we got a special guest for you, Andrew Barnes. My name's Laszlo Bala, one of the senior developer advocates, and I'm here today with my colleague Christy.
Hi, Christy Merriam here again, Senior Developer Advocate here at ServiceNow, and very happy to be here with both of these gentlemen. Andrew, you're next, sir. You guys are up there somewhere.
We are up there. You got both of us, so you covered it. Happy day, everyone. I'm Andrew Barnes. I'm the Director of Product Management here at ServiceNow, and I own our low-code development experiences. So my team owns a lot of the builders and tools that developers use on a daily basis in our platform. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
So good to have you, Andrew. And we've been talking about the new ServiceNow Studio in many forums, but this session is a little bit special because it's not just about Andrew telling us about ServiceNow Studio. We're also going to show you what's coming in ServiceNow Studio next year. But also, you get a unique opportunity to jump here into the studio with us and ask your questions from Andrew, or if you prefer, you can do it in the chat as well. But we're going to be circulating a link later on for you guys to jump into the studio and just be on camera and ask your questions from Andrew. How cool is that?
Super cool.
Additionally, not just your questions, but if you have enhancement suggestions, this is a great time to tell me why you would like it and give feedback. So not just questions, but you can also give feedback. How can we make the developer experience better for you?
Let's make Andrew sweat. Work for his money.
I like it.
All right. How do we want to get started, Andrew? Maybe set the baseline for the new studio, where we are today, where we're going.
Yeah. Happy to. So I'll set the stage a little bit about what I'll do today in this session. So first, I'm going to open up ServiceNow Studio because I think the best way to show developer tools is by showing the developer tools. So we'll fire open a current version of ServiceNow Studio, which you can have access today in a Zurich instance of ServiceNow. And then I will show you, sort of what our new Zurich features are. And then I'll drop into a little bit of Figma, so a little bit of what's coming next in our upcoming release, like March. And then I'll actually, and this is super special. I haven't shown this in a public forum at all yet. So y'all are going to get the community team asked me to bring something special, and this is what I'm bringing special. Is I'm going to show you what our next year looks like right now. So we'll actually dive into what we're going to be delivering throughout the end of the year next year and sort of give you the taste of what the development experience will feel like as a developer at the end of next year. So not like super far into the future roadmap, but like what we're planning to build and deliver next year for you, the ServiceNow developer.
And there was a little bit of a spoiler yesterday on our live stream with Tom Freeman. He kind of let the cat out of the bag. So if any of you guys were in it yesterday, you may have some clue as to what's coming in ServiceNow Studio.
Oh yeah. Well, Tom is a great partner in my outbound team, and he's free to share useful information. And well, if you're watching all this stuff, you may even see some things more than once this week, but that's okay. There's still plenty to learn and see today. So let me get started by sharing my screen. So let me share a particular window with you. Shocking. I'm going to share hopefully a ServiceNow Studio screen. Let's see if is that working. You see like Table Builder, ServiceNow Studio screen. All right, let's do it. So I'm in a regular stock Zurich ServiceNow instance. And so I'll show you around a little bit about ServiceNow Studio. So if you haven't seen it yet, if you've been hiding in a hole, ServiceNow Studio is our new developer experience, and it has been built from the ground up to be the development experience for you, the ServiceNow developer. So our goal with this product is to be the place where ServiceNow developers get to go to edit, manipulate, delete any metadata in the whole platform. So we want you to, if you pick up a story and are ready to go do development, you can open up ServiceNow Studio and not have to leave before you complete that story. Like, that's my goal. Is anything that you need to access in the ServiceNow ecosystem while you're doing that story in that dev instance, I want to bring right here into this interface for you. So I can give you a really quick overview of the interface here. So on the left-hand side here, we've got like a file navigator. So this file navigator is showing you a list of custom applications. You can filter this to store, fluid applications, all applications. And when I say all applications, I mean all applications. So you can edit any app in your whole instance. So you can open up anything here. So you won't see one of those messages like, oh, you can't edit this thing in this in this experience. Nope, you can open them up and edit them. So I can open up an app and see all the metadata broken out by categorization and open those up. So I've already got some things open previously. But before we walk into those, I'll show you another key feature is if you don't know what app you need to work in. So you need to find a variable set. Somebody was looking for a variable set yesterday in the Slack, and they didn't know about file categories. So I wanted to point it out today. File categories lets you go look for any metadata type like variable sets, and be able to open the variable sets right here. So this is basically the metadata list view of that table. So the item option new set table. You can also even just open up that list view in the regular list view as well. And a little sneaky thing that you can do is in our search, you can open any list view for any table as well, if you didn't know that. So just as you can do in the regular ServiceNow Navigator, you've got that table.list where you can open up the list view of any table. You can do so here. So incident isn't a metadata type, but when you're doing metadata manipulation, you also still need to be able to test things. So we want to make that really easy. So you can open up any list view.
When you said we don't have to leave Studio, you didn't lie.
Yeah, you don't have to leave Studio. I don't want you to have to leave, because testing is very much an important part about development. So you need to be able to interact with data records. I don't want you to, work in a workspace like all day long in ServiceNow Studio, but I do want you to be able to test something here. So you can find any metadata type by its categorization or the app that it's in. And if you don't know where it is or what it is, just do a search. So we have both regular search and code search right here in the search tool. And then one of the super cool things, this isn't new, but I just like to highlight it every time, is you can open up any scope at any time and not have to do anything special to manipulate it. So if I come over here and I open up a business rule, so we'll go back to this list and we'll say business rule, which is the syscript table for funds. I should have pre-opened this one because business rule table, first time a user does that, it takes a little while to load. But you can open up and edit any metadata object in any scope without having to do a scope switcher. Like that was the first key thing we delivered with ServiceNow Studio. Was the very most important thing for me, was that I wanted to get rid of that scope picker experience.
Thank you.
So you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. And it has made me so happy. So
Same.
I like it that other people were happy too, but it made me very, very happy. So while that's loading, I'll point out at the top here that I've got different scopes open, and they're even color coded and grouped for me. So these two are one scope. This orange thing is a second scope. This purple thing is a third scope. And then this global one is a fourth scope. And I can edit all of these at any time, no problem. And it automatically will switch, so down here, I do have an update set picker, and I'm able to, create an update set and track that. And as I switch between these, so say I switch over here, I will be in a different update set for this scope. So you don't have to worry about that part. So that consistency is really important for me, that you know which update set you're in. And even if it changes, even if in a different tab, in a whole different window, but still the same browser session, change this update set, it will actually get reflected here. So
someone asked
update
if
your
you can
context.
remove the tabs. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a really good question about the tabs. Currently, you can't rearrange the tabs. The only two options we have is group them by scope or don't group them by scope. I haven't had a ton of demand for rearranging the tabs, but if that's something that's really important, we can explore adding that. So I have thought about it, but it's not been a big demand yet to change the tabs. So let's talk about Zurich features. So that was just like a general overview of ServiceNow Studio. So some new things. So if you've already aware of what ServiceNow Studio can do, let's talk about a couple of new things. One of them is dark mode. So here's where that setting is for that grouping by tab. It's right here in that user preference. So that's a per user preference. And another per user preference is dark mode. So that's a new Zurich feature, is the ability to leverage dark mode in ServiceNow Studio and all of the constituent builders underneath. So, if I'm in table builder like so, that will respect that as well. So any of the builders that I open while I'm in dark mode in ServiceNow Studio will also respect that setting. Another key feature is, let me go open an app.
We have a couple questions here while you're doing that about splitting tabs. Can we split the tabs? It can help you on doing development. What about the split tab experience? So if you go from the role to a contained role, it's like a workspace that opens under the tab. Lots of questions about split tabs.
Yeah, so right now we don't have a sort of split tab experience. It is something that we are looking into. So we are actually actively looking into that one, is sort of us being able to sort of like other IDEs, like especially like VS Code has very much a tab, a breakdown so that you can rearrange the windows in your workspace sort of anywhere you want. So we are thinking about moving in that direction, but I don't have any hard guaranteed date on that one yet for you.
Okay. And it also looks like we have another vote for being able to rearrange the tabs. So just FYI.
Excellent. I love it. One of the things, I'll give you a little teaser for the future. One of the things that I'm going to do in the future, which I'll show in a little bit, is going to lessen your desire to want to do that.
Fair enough.
So I hear the ask, but I'm going to show you something that maybe will mitigate the need even.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
one of the other features in Zurich was adding source control. So this application, so if I go to the app details of this app, I've got a nice feature list here as well for the metadata. So I've got a little toggle. So you can see the key metadata objects right here in this experience, or you can see all of them, just as you can see all of them in this left-hand side. And you can add in source control right here and leverage source control for your app deployment and backup and needs. Especially, I get a lot of folks using the personal development instances, leveraging source control. So this was a key ask for those people for the PDIs, like really specifically, because if you're using a PDI, please use source control to back up your stuff from it, because those things aren't guaranteed to be around. Things happen with them, and you should back up your own stuff from there. And the best way to do that is with source control. So that was another key Zurich deliverable that we have. And there were a couple other things, but I can't actually remember them. And I'm excited to talk about future things.
I think that's what everybody's excited for as well. Right?
Let's talk about future
now.
things.
So you're dangling the carrots that people are very
Yeah,
excited to
I
hear
am dangling carrots. So yeah, let's talk about some future things. So the first thing, and I will put it up on the screen in just another minute, is these are forward-looking statements that I'm going to make now. Please don't make any purchasing decisions based off of them. So this is our best effort at what we're going to do plan-wise, but that can and will change, especially based off of feedback from users. So what I'm going to show you now is yesterday, I know at least one of your live streams that I saw was around Build Agent. And a key thing that we're working on, so I've got a ton of folks working on Build Agent right now and bringing Build Agent into ServiceNow Studio and expanding its capabilities. So the next key thing you're going to see in the ServiceNow Studio land is the ability to leverage Build Agent, which is our agentic developer agent, to come alongside with you and be a partner in your development journey. So this is huge for us. This is the biggest thing that my team is working on is Build Agent and bringing it to ServiceNow Studio and expanding its capabilities. So let's take a look at what that will look like. And you'll even see some differences from what's available today in the IDE, which you may have seen yesterday if you joined one of those shows or watched one of the advocates' earlier sessions about it. But we'll walk through and show you some of how we're enhancing Build Agent and how it is different in the ServiceNow Studio context. And the first thing is that you'll be able to edit and manipulate any app in the system right now. So in the IDE, you can only work on custom apps that have been fluentized. And with the move to ServiceNow Studio, you'll be able to work on any metadata object in the system, regardless of what app it's in, and whether or not that app has been fluentized. So that's a key difference that's hard to like visualize on the screen here, but is like super important to you, the developer, is that it will work and for all of the things that you need it to and be that companion with you. So let's walk through and give it some information about what we'd like to do. So I'm just going to step through those and let's get to actually, what it's going to look like different. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll have a planning component here, which is really important to us. And because developers has told us that planning is a key part of using an agentic system, is it really wants to have that conversation with the developer first, make sure that there's a shared understanding of what the goal is before we actually go and execute that plan. So even after we do a plan, though, we're still going to detail out what we intend to do and run that and show that in this change log interface here, which should be a new experience to see here. Is you can actually see which things in this app have been updated or created new as a result of this interaction with the Build Agent. So I'll be able to see the overview. I'll be able to click into these objects and see the delta between them. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that. So you'll be able to see the delta between what changed and evaluate if you're happy with what it did before you move forward. Does that make sense?
The comparison view itself is already a huge thing.
Yes.
All right. So I'm also going to, tell it to modify another thing because, development is iterative. All of this vibe coding stuff is about the fact that, if we knew exactly what we needed to do right off the bat, development would go a whole lot faster. Once you finish a thing, when you go back, if you're like, hey, can I go recreate that thing? Yes, and I can go recreate it really, really fast because I've already figured out all of the different points along the way that I need to, make decisions and change things. So I went ahead and made an enhancement, and then I told it to do another rev. And so one key thing that we have here is that each of these times that the Build Agent runs is we're creating a checkpoint that you can roll back to. So you can undo one or many of these checkpoints back in time because, development's iterative and you need to be able to try things out and you need to be able to undo them. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with y'all as developers?
Yes.
No, it's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been talking about Build Agent in the context of the IDE, obviously, which a lot of people like, especially when you come from Visual Studio Code, but not everyone, and it's just great to have the same capabilities in ServiceNow Studio, which for many folks is a preference, clearly.
Yeah.
There is a question that I think I already know the answer to, Andrew, but somebody's asking, what would you prefer to do, build an agent in Studio or IDE? What's your answer, Andrew?
My answer is, I think that it will depend on what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to achieve and like the mental mode I'm in. So some days I like pure code and I'd prefer to be in the IDE. And then other days, in other things that I'm trying to do, the code abstraction isn't actually like super valuable. Like the visualizations are super valuable sometimes in what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to understand like how a flow works or a playbook works, like seeing a code representation of that is really easy to go in and like make a simple change to something I already know and understand. And so the code representation of a flow, I'd probably want to go make a simple change to a flow if I already understood the flow in IDE. Because I know I can load that really fast, I can find the right thing, and I could just go make the change I need. If I don't know the change I need, and I don't know the flow, I'd prefer to, have that visualization so that I can understand the context of what I'm doing, figure out what I need to do, and then do that execution of what I need to do. So it really depends on the kind of work I'm doing and where that work is best interacted with.
I really thought you were just going to say Studio. Good for you. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
No, I am trying to build an awesome developer experience in ServiceNow Studio, but I also, work very closely with my friends in the IDE team, and we're paired at the hip on Build Agent, so we're collaboratively working on that together. And
love that.
It is not a one size fits all. And it doesn't have to be for a single developer, a one size fits all. Is go to the right experience for the right thing you're trying to do. And we want to make that really easy, which is why when you're in ServiceNow Studio or the IDE, you can quickly and easily switch between them. Like this is intentional from us to make this developer experience good for you. So one of the other things I want to note out in here is, if the summary and the diff isn't the way you want to interact with these changes, you can open them, and that will open the tab in ServiceNow Studio as well. So I wanted to point out this little subtle open file. So if I select any of these metadata objects, I can open that metadata object there. So one of the key things we're adding to Build Agent is the ability to generate and run ATF tests. And any other tests that you might need, as well as instance scans and a deployment health score. I butchered the name on that, but in release ops, there's a readiness score, the readiness score. And so we'll be able to execute all of these things right here in Build Agent. And
instance scans, instance scans in ATF.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're doing instant scans in ATF, right, inside of Studio? Yes?
Yes. Yeah. And I even, so that's stuff that is coming in the very near term. So we're looking at don't hold me to all of this, but we're looking at basically everything I just showed you in the March timeframe. So with that, that's all the stuff I've got cooking right this second in the ServiceNow Studio land. What I'll do is stop share. If I select the right button, hopefully that one stops share.
Yeah.
And then I will start share again on a different window and show you what's coming up. So before I dive into like the future stuff, any other questions? I know y'all
We've got a few folks in in the studio already, actually.
Yeah, let's take one of those.
We do. I'm waiting for folks to join. We have a question from Mike Moody. Mike, do you want to come on camera and ask your question, or can add you to the stage?
Either way, it's fine. Yeah.
There you are. There you are, Mr. Moody.
Happy day, Mike.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome. Welcome.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, no, I was just curious as to the search capability that's built into the tool. Is there any part of the platform that it will not search, like, for example, legacy workflow, script activities, and things of that nature?
Yeah, so the code search capabilities is based off of what you have also access to in the Legacy Studio. So that code search capability is the same.
Gotcha.
And with that, what that can search is actually editable by you, the developer. So if there's something that we didn't ship, so if there's a new metadata type, or just you've created your own, which you can do, you can create your own metadata types that have, say, script fields in them, you can add that to that search source for the code search. There's a great community article out there on that, and I'll find that article and share it back to the recording for this. But that shows you where to go edit the search source for code search. For the regular search, it's currently using the instance. What's the old search called?
Zing? Wasn't there Zing? Zing, yeah.
So it's using Zing right now. And then in the Australia timeframe, it will switch to AI search, and which will also, both of those, we've made those configurations for both of those editable by you, in your instance. So we ship an opinion, but you can also change and edit that opinion for how those searches work.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, can I ask one quick question? One more. So you mentioned the build agent handles auto generation for tests within the tool, and I was just curious, how would it handle auto generation of tests that may have, for example, integrations or orchestrations embedded into a flow that are perhaps asynchronous in nature, and would it mock up a response, or how would it handle that kind of scenario?
It's a really good question. I'm going to only lightly answer it because my friends over in the platform team on the ATF team actually own how those tests are generated. So we're telling an ATF tool to generate the tests, and then we'll run those. But the build agent team doesn't actually own how the test itself is crafted. That's another team that owns that. But my loose answer to it is going to be it will not likely mock up a response from the integration. So
okay,
that
probably still have to
my
do some work
expectation is
yourself.
that it would not mock that response from the integration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Just
We have.
It'd be really cool if it did, though.
It would be very cool. Very cool. We have one more question from Teo.
Hey everybody,
Hello,
how's it
welcome.
going this morning?
Hello.
Happy day.
Hi, hey Andrew. I was just wondering, what would be the difference between using the IDE and actually the Studio feature? I'm aware both modules have that source control feature active. So how can I differ? How would be a better option to use one over the other one?
Yeah, this question is also asked in the chat too. Mahati also asked.
Yeah, so how I decide to choose whether or not I use the IDE or ServiceNow Studio and when.
Right.
Yeah. So I think the answer is sort of similar to which one I would prefer, which is it really depends on the work you're trying to do and the experience that's comfortable to you. So there'll be some subset of users who want a pure code experience all the time. They don't want to use any of our builders, and they just want that pure code experience. That's a very, very, very small fraction of our ecosystem. But they will naturally gravitate towards the IDE, or even just leveraging a local IDE with the Fluent SDK and Build Agent being available locally for them. So that's sort of those folks. Then there's the folks who might not want to see code hardly ever at all. The main regular ServiceNow developer tends to not have to work with very much code at a time. So we're talking business rules or with 8 to 15 lines of script in them total, and interacting with flows and UI Builder and Workspace Builder. And ServiceNow Studio will really suit and is designed for those users. And then there is also something like what I believe is something like 10% of our user base that's actually comfortable in both and will actually flow between them depending on their use case, what they're trying to do, and what experience they're feeling like that day based off of their use case. So if you want to avoid code as much as possible and use our builders as much as possible, ServiceNow Studio is the way for you. If you want to avoid the builders as much as possible, then IDE is for you, or even using an IDE locally. And if you are comfortable in both, then use both and find that right spot for you of when you want to move between them and interact with the different builders and metadata types with the tool of your choice at that moment.
Definitely, that's what I was looking to hear. And just to add a quick question in there, I was wondering, now that everything is being implemented with AI, do we get now assist to help us to generate code either using in a studio? Is that
yeah, absolutely. So the build agent that I was showing off today can it can write a whole app for you. So it can definitely, it can make a business rule, it can make a script include, it can enhance an existing script include.
Makes pretty cool UIs. It's really good at UI.
It's really good at making custom UIs. So it will help you do your development. So our goal with Build Agent, and so we're investing heavily in expanding what it can do right now. So what you can experience in like a personal developer instance right now is limited to the metadata types that it supports. I'm heavily investing in expanding that metadata support to do more things and cover, the average day you come in, you should be able to leverage Build Agent without hitting any of its limitations. So not promising it can do everything, but on an average day, my goal is that in the next 6 months, you won't need anything but Build Agent to help you with that.
Great. Thank you so much for. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just wanted to add, already today, if you get Now Assist for Creator, that's something, because you've asked about code generation and all that. That's something obviously you can take advantage of in Studio.
Yep.
And I'll throw out there too, if you want to get your hands on Build Agent, we do have our Build with Build Agent challenge coming up next week. Where you can get your hands on Build Agent in your PDI and see how far you can get with the 10 prompts that you get in your PDI. Thank you, Laszlo, for putting that banner down there. Very timely. So something I would also recommend doing if you're interested in trying it out. Yeah.
Sounds good. Looking forward to that. Thank you for your time, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming
on.
Nice
yes,
to meet you.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks. All right, Andrew. We have a bunch of other questions in the chat, but I want to make sure that we cover all the futures. Yeah, we can come back to these questions.
Let's show them some of the cool stuff in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Hitting the Save Harbor screen just so it's on the screen at one moment. So we already covered this one, which is Build Agent ServiceNow Studio. It's my most important initiative right now. Really going to make sure we land that, especially expanding that metadata types and hitting all of the different app types. So custom, ServiceNow, and global support for Build Agent and ServiceNow Studio. All of those are really key things for us. The next thing after that is views. So you may have noticed that there are multiple studios in the ServiceNow ecosystem and landscape. And what we're trying to accomplish with views is bringing all of those studios together into ServiceNow Studio in one spot. So you may be familiar with things like Workflow Studio, VA Designer, and other studios that exist out there in the wild. We want to be able to let those product teams have some influence in helping guide their users to have a curated experience in ServiceNow Studio when they're working on a particular type of work. So like if you're in that, what would you use right now for Workflow Studio sort of headspace, like I'm here to build some flows and decisions and playbooks. And that's my main thing today is I want to narrow my world to the job to be done is to work just in that workflow space. That's what Fuse is going to deliver, is the ability to sort of like focus in and highlight and bring to the forefront the metadata types for that type of work. The next thing is, we showed this in my demo a little bit, which is being able to invoke things like deployment requests, ATF, etc., from right in the conversational experience with Build Agent in ServiceNow Studio. So we want to, again, make it so you don't have to leave this instance. So as an example, right now, you may need to leave the instance. You may even need to leave the instance, not just ServiceNow Studio, to do a thing like set up a release for release ops. We want you to not have to do that. You should be able to stay in ServiceNow Studio in your dev instance to do what you need doing. I touched on this on the previous slide as well, which is part of that deployment is also running ATF tests, but also you don't have to do them as part of the deployment. So I should be able to and want to be able to just invoke things like ATF tests even when I'm not ready to deploy. So I want to check, hey, do I need to create a new ATF or adjust the existing ones based off the development work I've already done, even before I'm ready to do a deployment? And do things like get results from things like instance scans early and often so that I don't have to wait till I'm ready to deploy, that I learn, oh, I'm not following one of my company's practices. I need to make an adjustment. So we're trying to shift that left and bring it to the developer earlier in the process. So another thing about, controlling that experience for the user is nested collections. And so what this is the ability to group more than one app in a collection and say, hey, I want to work on these 3 apps together on a regular basis. So a good example would be like security vulnerability response is really like 8 different apps. But when you're working in that space, you don't actually like see the boundaries between those scopes in order to make the change you want to do. So you can group those together and say, hey, I want to see these and interact with these as a single unit.
Just like in HR, same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and HR is another good example. There's like 5 or 6 scopes there. And when you're working in HR, you're likely going to have to use multiples of those. And you don't know or really care where those boundaries are when you're working in the HR space.
That's becoming true for lots of the platform. Like even ITSM at this point is getting broken up as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're trying to reimagine our homepage as well. So you've seen a little bit about what this looks like in the developer site. So we're going to bring a similar AI-centric view right to the forefront if you have it. So we want to be able to really make it that partner and bring it right to the forefront with you. One thing I'll highlight at the bottom of this, but I will show you on a different slide in a second, is those things at the bottom are really important. And I'll show you why, hopefully right here, which is those were my tasks from my production instance.
Fancy. This was a question yesterday.
So again, towards my point of I want to bring the things you need as a developer to work on your story right here into the instance and make you not have to leave ServiceNow Studio when you're doing that. And so wouldn't it be really nice if I had my story right here that I was working on?
It's your personal backlog.
Yeah.
And so I can have my backlog here. And And another key thing is I can tell ServiceNow Studio I'm working on this story. And so now that becomes context for a bunch of things. If you've got Build Agent, it becomes context for Build Agent. So Build Agent can get the information from that story and know, like, it can pull in the acceptance criteria in the description as part of its inputs to help you kickstart doing the work.
You are getting lots of love for this.
Yeah.
Piece.
Yeah.
The hearts are flying.
It's blowing up.
So
Yeah.
Another key thing, and I teased this a little bit earlier, was, you talked about being able to rearrange tabs and things. And the reason that you want to rearrange tabs is because you want to group your work together and you want to be able to know where stuff is when you're working on it. And so a ServiceNow developer typically has a gazillion tabs. Like, my poor browser just is so mad at me all the time because I have a gazillion tabs open. And so that's one of the reasons you want to rearrange them. With the ability to tell ServiceNow Studio, I'm working on this story, I can do some magic for you. I can handle the creation of all of your update sets for you, relate them all to that story, and I can keep the context of all of your tabs. And so if I switch which story I'm working on, I can then store all of those tabs and let you start with a clean slate or restore the ones you were working on for that other story. So that's one of the reasons why I think maybe the tab, moving around, might not be needed as much because, on a single story, there's a limited amount of tabs you're going to need. And the context for it is all the same. And if I switch stories, a new set of tabs for that new story. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with y'all? I think this is the first time either of you are hearing that.
Yeah. It was a question that came up yesterday about the integration with stories. And so I had not seen this yet. So
my eyes are glued to the screen for sure. And I'm trying to come up with an excuse to leave Studio after next year. Having a hard time. Maybe someone in the chat has something I don't.
It's going to be tough.
So I will stop my screen share with that and say, and I sort of slipped it in there even, which is I'll create those update sets for you. Because you're telling me which task you're working on, any work you do, I'll automatically create the update sets for you, relate them all together. And then when you say I'm ready to deploy that task, I'm done with this story, or that story's ready for testing, I know what all of the work is. ServiceNow Studio knows what all the work related to it was and can make sure all of that work is bundled, tested, and deployed together, and gives visibility and traceability back all the way to your production instance. So when you move it to the test instance with our release ops, you'd be able to see at the story record in production that, hey, this thing is in testing, and here's the test results for that test. So that traceability of this is the work related, and here is the work, task object, and relating those together is really important. And so bringing that all together is a key thing that I'm trying to do late next year.
What a time to be a ServiceNow developer. I just love seeing all these things really coming together, like AI, Build Agent, Studio, ATF, instance scans, release ops, and everything is becoming that developer environment you've been dreaming of for years. I
know it's an exciting time, so I'm really trying to bring it all together and make a cohesive experience end to end for you as the ServiceNow developer and other teams. So it is not just one team working on this. We've got a whole group of people all working in the same effort for the same goal here.
And
let's take some of those questions.
Yeah, D-Man just calling out, no more fighting those update sets. And yes, and yes. I love it. I have a whole backlog of questions.
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot of questions. Hope you're ready, Andrew.
I've started a bunch. So I'm going to start with something I think that will be easy to answer. Let's see. Where are we going to start here? This one. What of this will be coming to users without creator licenses? I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer that question.
Yeah,
Andrew?
so the build agent specifically is definitely a creator license object. So it's our now assist for creator license object build agent. But most everything else you saw today is going to be free.
Platform. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that.
Studio, ID, release ops, all these things.
Yes. Let's see. So I'm going to start from the top. Now I'm going to go chronological because there's just so many questions in here I want to
That's
get
only
to.
fair.
Yeah. So Aman asked, what will be the ideal use cases for IDE like custom applications?
So right now, that is in fact the only thing you can do in the IDE is custom applications. So if you want to use Fluent directly and want to work in that pure scripting environment for custom apps that have been Fluentized, that's the use case for the IDE right now. Now they are expanding. So as our efforts with the build agent to expand coverage to global and app customizations, we're actually adding that to the IDE as part of enhancing the build agent. So as build agent gets those enhancements, the IDE will also get them. But it'll still be back to my earlier answer, which is you want that pure code. You want to just see code all day long and only code. That IDE is for you.
I would like to add to that, Andrew, and tell me if I'm wrong anywhere, but I tend to think of it not per use case, but when I think of the IDE, it's more of a developer preference. I'd like to think of it as something that targets the more traditional software engineers out there or developers. Whereas being a ServiceNow developer was a little bit niche in the industry, perhaps, and you had to know and be familiar with ServiceNow Studio, the classic one, and ServiceNow UI. But now if you come from a more traditional software engineering background and you lived in IDEs, VS Code, for instance, then this is an easy entry point into doing work on ServiceNow. So I'd like to think of it that way and not necessarily like what's the better use case for IDE versus Studio.
Yeah, I just have a little bit of extra color there, which is typically those folks actually prefer to work locally. And so they'll be best served by continuing to use their favorite local IDE and leveraging the Fluent SDK, and build agent locally versus moving. And we heard that from those users is that they want to work local. And the folks who are going to leverage the IDE in the browser with the ServiceNow instance are generally going to be more what I was outlining is those folks who do both, who straddle both lines. Whereas those more traditional full stack developers who are coming into the ServiceNow ecosystem, they prefer and would rather to not even use the VS Code in the browser. They want to work locally.
Fair enough.
Gotcha.
That's not a directive. That's just what they tell us.
I mean, we've got some comments in here for suggestions for some other features of Studio, but we'll get to those in a minute here.
Okay.
D-Man, can now creator build agent create and deploy custom components?
So what I can tell you is there's active work in this area. So the build agent right now can work on things like React. And we are empowering it to work on more ServiceNow stuff. So you will see stuff rolling out almost monthly to enhance build agent and the metadata it supports. And we know that custom components is one of those areas. So I can't give you the timeline, but the answer is yes.
I know that wasn't a Studio question. It was build agent, but I thought you probably could probably speak to that a bit. There is on our documentation that talks about what file types are supported by Fluent. Those are usually in parity with build agent minus service portal widgets, which we discovered on a previous stream that service portal widgets weren't exactly supported just yet. But there is good documentation out there about what is supported by Fluent. So it's a good place to reference. And if I had the link, I would totally share it, but I did not do that. Will we be able to develop offline code and push to ServiceNow?
So that is what I was saying with the folks who want to work locally, totally can work locally. They can leverage things like the Fluent SDK. There's a VS Code plugin. So there's several ways to work offline if that's what you prefer. Now, the limitations of doing that in the ServiceNow ecosystem, is that you really need the instance and its engine to basically do any validation and testing. And so fully offline working is typically not like a good thing to do, because you're working in ice. If you like working on an airplane or, with completely no internet, no connection to your instance, is going to result in things that don't work for sure. Like that. I don't know developers that are good enough to fully offline code without their instance, anything of any complexity, and then they go and check it in and it just works. Like that's not how development works generally. And so can you? Yes. Is it the best way to work? Probably not. But like the working locally and running tests against the instance is a thing that you can do today.
Got it. And you can do that with the SDK, right? Can't you do it with the SDK?
Yep. So you can either use the VS Code plugin or the SDK.
Got it.
They're both viable options.
This is one of the questions that I'm interested in too. Are you able to publish apps to the deployment pipeline? So using all of the CI/CD capabilities of the platform, I assume yes.
Yes.
But...
So absolutely. So when you're ready to leverage, so I suggest getting release ops once you're on Zurich.
Shameless
and
plug.
Especially once you get to the December version. We put some really great enhancements in the December version of the Zurich for release ops. Once you get to release ops, fully support like moving to that mechanism because it supports all of our release types. So it supports update sets, source control, app repo, and combinations thereof. And that is magical. And yes, you can leverage them from both inside ServiceNow Studio, and you will be able to leverage them with Build Agent as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Attila is asking about a possible feature of Studio. After a release upgrade or application update, Studio can give a useful front end to check the conflict or skip changes. So kind of merging what we have with our upgrade monitor, whatever we call it these days, and bringing Studio into that.
Could we do skip change review from Studio?
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't thought about doing that, but I'm sure we could work something out to do it. So they've made some great enhancements to the Upgrade Center and how that works. And those are close friends of ours. And so we probably, what we would do is if we were to bring that into ServiceNow Studio, we would just surface that experience from the Upgrade Center to ServiceNow Studio versus trying to replicate or duplicate any of those efforts. Because that's really a sort of zoomed in specific task is I want to review upgrade things.
Yeah.
What I will tell you though is in the just sort of a broader context of, that change log that you saw when I was showing off Build Agent, we're going to make that available even for stuff that Build Agent didn't do anything with. And so that interface for like application changes and development will be helpful for that purpose.
Gotcha. Okay. 2 more questions. These are getting a little in the weeds about certain things. As we're creating business rule scripts, include scripts on the platform side, not on Studio, are you preferring the better experience to use Studio for creating scripts? I'm not sure I understand the question fully.
Create things where you like best.
Yeah, I think we've covered that.
The same script.
Yeah.
It's the same script. If you want to work in Notepad and copy and paste stuff into your instance, do you. However you want to work the best way. I think ServiceNow Studio is a great way to work and interact with metadata in ServiceNow, but you do you.
Fair enough. And we have a similar question about the right studio for developing like an automation app. And again, I think it's just still the same kind of answer wherever you prefer working. Because I think they all have their value and benefits. It's just where you're more comfortable working, I would say, right?
Yeah. And sort of my default answer though is use ServiceNow Studio. And if it's not suiting your need, try another one. Try a different experience.
Sure.
So like the default, ServiceNow Studio has been designed for you, the ServiceNow developer. That, if you think of yourself as a ServiceNow developer, ServiceNow Studio has been designed for you. So
Nice.
that's sort of my default is, and if it's not suiting your needs as a ServiceNow developer, come tell me. We can make it better.
Andrew is very open to feedback. If you can't tell, he loves to hear from you guys. So definitely hit him up. He's on community, LinkedIn. He probably gave you his personal email address if you asked nicely. But definitely open to feedback and wants to make it better because he's kind of been in your shoes and he gets it. So I think that's what makes him a really great product manager. We have another question from backstage from someone we've heard from before. I don't know, Tio, if you wanted to come back on camera and ask your question. But can we get to work with ATF in Studio to automate continuous integration? We talked about it a little bit. I don't know if we need more context for that question.
So I'll go ahead and sort of start answering it. And if he's got more context, we'll take it. But we're absolutely trying to shift left and make it available for developers to get feedback faster. Earl can call me anytime. Earl's the best. So giving that continuous feedback from things like Instant Scan and ATF and shifting it left and running those things automatically while you're doing development so that you get that sort of continuous feedback. Now, if you're talking about like more of like the deployment part of that, continuous integration, doing those, that moving to that CD part of, continuous delivery, that isn't something that's like super strong or in demand in the ServiceNow ecosystem. Can you use our, release ops to do that? Sure can. So it's definitely possible to do it. It's just not the most prevalent thing that we have. So what I'll say is I showed on the slide, we are making it so that you can run ATS and instant scans from inside ServiceNow Studio on an ad hoc basis, even outside of it doing a deployment. And we're working on being able to leverage things like Build Agent to sort of run those when it makes most sense versus continuous. But in general, yes.
Oh, you're mute, Christy.
I am muted because my dog's barking. I forgot to unmute myself. We have one last question. What option integrates better with application repository tools like GitHub? I think they're all kind of the same, right? Don't they all use the same mechanism?
I would say if you are leveraging Fluent, if you've got custom applications that are Fluentized, the IDE integration to GitHub is actually a different one than you can leverage in ServiceNow Studio.
Oh, right.
It is better for that use case because it has pure code representations of our metadata, and thus you're able to leverage more source control tools with that because it is pure code. So for the supported Fluent metadata types, so if you have an application that like is fully supported by Fluent, then absolutely the IDE VS Code is sort of the way to go, and we'll be moving towards that as we get enough coverage of the metadata types that are supported by Fluent. We will move away from the old source control integration type to the one that's being leveraged in IDE and have that full pure code. Even if you're working in ServiceNow Studio and you never see it, you'll be able to leverage that in the source control tools and on teams that have different types of developers working on the same thing. So even if some of your developers never see that Fluent code, you'll still be able to leverage those integrations to source control and that pure code experience and tools.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Okay. Well, I lied. We have Devin, who is backstage. Devin, hi. Welcome. You're on mute if you want to ask a question.
I can unmute.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
everybody.
There he
Hey,
is.
happy
There he is.
day.
Hi, Devin. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's a bit of a lag.
Did you have a question?
Go ahead and ask your question.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to join the session. I was on the YouTube one, and then I joined the.
Oh,
That's
well, thanks for coming. Thank you. Thanks
Okay.
for hopping in. It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
You can stay for a wrap up now since you joined.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be part of our wrap up.
Up and,
Yeah, exactly.
and
No.
call it a day.
That's it. That's it. No, but seriously, I just want to say thanks once again to Andrew for showing us the future of ServiceNow Studio and all the reasons why we should never ever leave ServiceNow Studio again from next year onward. Thanks for taking the time, Andrew. It was an amazing session, and folks, don't forget we've got a few more videos coming out today as part of Community Week, where we're going to have a video from fellow MVP Anders Figgin on AI generative tech deep dive, and we're gonna have a video, a new Did You Know? Am I right, Christy? On
Yes,
AI
they're
agents?
coming out 3
That's it.
Eastern today. There's 2 videos
Exactly, 3 p.m. Eastern,
back to back.
12 PST.
Yes. Yes.
And a third video coming out as well, Unpacking Labs, Build an AI Agent with Travis later today at 1 p.m. PST. So stay tuned for Community Week. This was only day 2, and we've got a whole week packed with more stuff for you guys. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks again, Andrew, Christy, and all the wonderful guests coming up on stage and ask their questions. It was great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.